hello everyone and welcome. I'm going to tell you a little bit about this webinar series to kick us off. So the webinar series is called Dear Designer. It's a monthly webinar series where we discuss one area of business that designers struggle with. And each month I bring on board a special guest to come and help me out. So we've had people like Kayla Hollitz, Devin Danielle, a bunch of other really lovely people. And today we've got Morgan from October Inc. So for anybody who is new to me, who doesn't know who I am, my name is Nisha from nishawillery.com. I became a freelance designer in 2012, and now I teach other designers how to streamline their systems, find more clients, and get booked out through my courses, ebooks, and videos like this one. And I do that so that you guys can finally build a business that allows you to live the life you crave. And now I'm going to hand on over to Morgan so that she can introduce herself as well.
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Morgan Rapp from October Inc. And I've been freelancing for a while now, maybe like 8 years or something.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm old.
A while.
But our business has been official for probably like 5 or 6 years. And we do branding and web design is our main focus. And I've been in a partnership for the last 5 years, for most of it, with my best friend. And just this last year, we transitioned into it just being me. And so she started a baby journal business, and that's done well. And we both have two kids, and it's just was so crazy, just coordinating all the time. And so now we decided to transition some things down. So she just got so busy. But it's been awesome to have her. But now I'm excited about trying some new things and it just being me and continuing to move forward. So I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, that's so exciting.
Sorry, I forgot to say I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I have 2 kids, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And so it keeps me busy.
Yes. And for anyone who, oh great, now I've got a fly by me.
So annoying.
Yeah, I know. It's just that season, I guess. And for anybody who hasn't already guessed, I'm from the UK. So that's where we're from. That's a little bit about us. And we're going to jump right on in. But before, I just want to quickly tell you guys to grab a notebook and pen if you can right now, because we're going to be covering a lot of really juicy, really great topics. And I think that you'll get the most out of it if you actually take notes. Okay, so let's dive in. So we're going to be bringing out 5 ways that you can find your next design client. Brace yourself because there's probably a lot more than 5, but there'll be like 5 general topics. But first of all, let's kick it off with discussing why so many freelancers reject the idea of marketing. Why do you think that so many freelance designers and other types of freelancers as well just don't seem to like the idea of marketing or don't seem to actively do it?
I think it's because we're more creative types generally. And I think we all have something that we're maybe not good at. And usually if we're already designers, we know that we're good at like the visual side. Mm-hmm. But maybe the marketing side doesn't come easily to us and it feels annoying, to be honest. Because stuff that doesn't come easily to you, you like don't want to do, right? So I think usually the business side, the marketing side, that's where most of us creatives can improve. And so it just feels annoying most of the time to do. And also, we're used to Instagram and things like that are free. And sometimes we're maybe not taking as much advantage of that, or we're kind of underappreciating, the value that those platforms can have. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. I think that a lot of us are scared that we're going to come across as pushy or annoying. And I know that a lot of people in my community have kind of expressed that they find it hard because they're introverted. So I would love to ask everybody here, while we are on this topic, type in the chat box why you may find marketing hard. So just use one word. Say if you think you're going to be annoying, type annoying, or if you find it hard because you're introverted, type introvert.
Yeah, or scared to be salesy, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a good point.
Yeah, so type it into the chat box because we would love to hear your points of views and we can tackle that in this. I'm really sorry if you guys can hear any hammering from next door, by the way. They've just started. Okay, so we can see quite a few people are saying introvert, time-consuming, selling yourself. I hear that one a lot from people in my designers in my community who don't like to sell themselves because they feel like they're bragging. So yeah, we can see a lot of introverts and a lot of confusing. Okay, so we're going to be tackling all of that today, you guys. We're going to be bringing you like ways that you can kind of move around that and marketing strategies that you can try out that will work for you, even if you are introverted. I'm an introvert. I don't know about Morgan. I'm definitely introverted. Would you call yourself like an introvert? Oh my goodness, an introvert, an extrovert. What do you kind of think that you are?
I would say I lean more towards introvert. Like I love like small groups, intimate conversations, kind of staying at home. I will get out every now and then, but
yeah,
probably mostly introverted.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think most creatives are. I think that's why the whole idea of staying at home and working from our laptops feels so appealing to us. I'm curious, do you have like an actual marketing plan, or do you just is your marketing more flexible?
I would say it's probably more flexible. I should have more of a plan, I think, but I definitely, and we'll talk about this more, but I try to keep in mind like where most of our referrals are from and try to focus on that. And, I use Instagram as a marketing tool, blogging, kind of the things, but a lot of our clients come from referrals. It's mostly referral based. And so to me, that means I need to make sure I'm like offering quality service to each client so that they will refer us. And a lot of our site links too, like we get, referrals from just having our name on projects, from being around for a while, I feel like helps because I think it's discouraging when you're young and you just don't have a lot of, like young in the business, you don't have a lot of projects that are out there yet. And it just time, because eventually a lot more people will see your site links. You'll work with bigger clients who have more site traffic and they're seeing those site links and it just kind of starts to steamroll a little bit. But I don't know if some people put on here time consuming. Marketing is time consuming. And I only have time for so much to actually, do marketing and work on my business and design and all of that. So I know it could be better. It is hard to fit it in, So I try to focus on the main things. And if I get to the extra things, great. But I try to be forgiving of myself and not stress myself out too much and just do my best. But I know there's always more I could be doing. I think that's the hard part about it.
No. I love that you made that point. Because I think that a lot of people, when they think of marketing, it depends on what kind of person you are, whether you like to have a lot of structure or whether you prefer to be more flexible. But a lot of creatives like to be flexible, but they're a bit too flexible. So it's more like they'll class themselves as flexible, but then really it's like not doing that much in the way of marketing, just hoping that clients will come. Whereas you don't have a plan, but that doesn't mean that you don't do things like you just mentioned, putting your link in I assume it's the footer of your clients' websites, just doing things like this and really making sure that you give your clients the best experience possible to make sure they refer you. You're always actively marketing without it being too overwhelming. So I love that you made that point. Now, what marketing strategies do you find? Oh, sorry.
It's kind of like an ebb and flow thing too. Obviously, if you're like booked out for a while and you don't need new clients, there might be that might be a time when you can focus on other things. But if you need new clients, you should focus on your marketing, and have a marketing plan for sure. So I hope I didn't sound like, oh no, have a marketing plan, it's fine. Like you do need to have some kind of plan in place or some kind of strategy to actively be like getting clients. So anyways.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I totally understand what you mean. If you're going through like a slow stage or you're kind of new to business and you haven't been doing it for years, it's harder to find clients, isn't it? So you need to focus on it more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So let's talk strategies. What are your favorite marketing strategies?
So as I was like breaking down, where our referrals come from. So I looked through, I downloaded our whole contact form and looked through where all of our referrals come from. And over half of them are referrals from past clients, personal friends. So people who knew someone and said, hey, like contact October Inc. And then the next one was Instagram at 15%. So
wow,
like how important referrals are, and it even kind of surprised me. Like I thought my Instagram would be higher, just because it's the platform that most of us put a lot of effort into, and it definitely is important. But it just showed me like how important referrals are, and we just need to be like really focusing on that. And so that's what like the majority of the conversation I wanted to focus around, because I feel like it's the most important. So I think as far as marketing strategies, I think it is important as far as thinking about the future, but it is important to think about the now and just making sure you're really offering your clients a really valuable service, a really good experience, walking them through the design process, not burning bridges at the end of projects if they go bad. I can't tell you how many projects like could have gone bad, and I just tried to be really understanding, very professional. We ended things on good terms, and then I got a lot of referrals from that person, and I just really believe in not burning bridges with clients, even if they're like the worst client ever. Just trying your hardest to give every client a good experience and be professional in every experience.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like I can even remember as soon as you said it, like it brought one specific client to my mind where I could have so easily burned those bridges near the end of the project. But if you still maintain your professionalism, you still give them the best experience that you possibly can right through to the very end. Like with that client, I so badly didn't want to, but did anyway. And it resulted in more clients coming my way. And yeah, I think that is so important not to let that slip and to burn those bridges. You're 100% right.
Yeah, because those referrals are so important. So you need to think about the future and just not the here and now. And maybe that client owes you like a couple $100 or something like that, and you're upset about it. But think about the potential to earn thousands from that referral, in the future. And so I think it's just really important, just to keep those relationships good. And also you just feel better about ending it on a good point. I think
word
of mouth goes a long way. Like you never know who's talking about you, who's referring you. So I think just always, being professional and handling things, learning from those experiences and taking some accountability, because usually I'm at fault in some way when those things happen. I need to add something to my contract, change my process. There's always something that I did that played into it, and it's hard to recognize that and fix it. But I think that's a good way to keep projects, just going well and not having as many issues, as learning from each one. So
I love that. Take accountability for your part in a client relationship that has gone bad. Absolutely love that. I got so like caught up in that point that I totally forgot what I was going to say next. But I know what I was going to say. So I was going to say that a lot of designers, I find, referrals is such a reliable source of clients, and it's often our number one source of clients. And yet, I think if you're not active about it, like you said, in creating a really great client experience and giving your all to your clients and like finding small ways to actually generate those referrals, I think if you don't put in the work, you just hope that they come your way, especially towards the start of your freelance business. It can make things really tough for you if you're not actively trying to generate those referrals.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was in your course, you mentioned actively asking past clients if need design help, even after the project has ended, maybe like a few months down the road, because most of the time they have something new that they come up or that has come up, or asking them if they know anyone who needs design work. I know my realtor, we bought our house over a year ago, and she calls me occasionally, and every time she asks me if I know anyone who needs a realtor. And I'm just like, she's so good at this. Like, and it makes me think, oh, I need to actively look for someone for her too, because I know she's looking for clients. Because I think a lot of times we assume, other people assume that designers' schedules are full or whatever. But if you mention to family, friends, past clients that, you're taking on new work, like, do you know anyone? Even if they say no, which most of the time they will, it puts a bug in their ear, and they're kind of like, okay, I need to like actively look out for people I could send to my friend's way. So
I feel like people are so afraid to ask sometimes, to ask their clients. Don't, forget that if you know anybody who's in need of a designer, feel free to send them my way. Like, people are afraid that they're going to be too pushy. But like we've been saying, I feel like if you don't actively try to generate those referrals, eventually they are going to dry up. I would love to hear from everybody who's listening as well. Type a 1 in the chat box if you just kind of wait for referrals to come your way, but you don't really do anything to generate them. I'm really curious about that, because I know it's something that I've talked about in my Facebook group recently, and it's a thing that a lot of the designers in there said that they were struggling with, is to actually actively try and generate them and not to just wait around for them. I can see a few ones coming in already. So
we also, talked about, referrals from like personal friends or past clients, but also referrals from peers are huge. And so I feel like over the years, the way that has happened is just natural friendships from being online and following other designers. So I think, cultivating those relationships online are important, because you never know what will come from them.
Absolutely.
There are lots of brand designers or web designers. I'll send work their way when I'm busy. They send work my way when I'm, or when they're busy. Being part of a mastermind is awesome, because you're always helping each other, or you send work each other's way. I think that that's important, and talking with people and conversing on Instagram, commenting. If you don't feel like you have any like peers or friends that are also in the same kind of field as you are, just start socializing on social platforms. That's what they're there for. It's there to find friends, but if you socialize with peers too, almost always, like, at some point, referrals go back and forth. And I just think that's so awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like I made most of my designer friends near the beginning of my design business. I think I made most of them on social media, just following other designers and actively commenting. Like, nowadays you can there wasn't direct messaging back then, but nowadays you could like watch their Instagram stories and DM them and try and start some kind of a relationship with other designers, because it works so well.
It really does. Like, just comment consistently, interact. Like, I love it too. Like, when people message me, like, I'm like, oh, no, look at their feed and comment or follow them or whatever. You know what I mean? It's just such a fun way to like make friends online, so you don't feel so lonely.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
You might collaborate, and it's just, I think that's great.
It really is. It really is such a fantastic way to make friends with other designers, and then hopefully you can both refer work to each other. And like Morgan was saying earlier, about in the course where it mentions to follow up with your clients, that is just such a great way. I think that's the best way to generate referrals, to just remember to actively ask your clients for them, not once, but a couple of times or a few times. I mean, I like to ask them, but I like to kind of plant the seed in their mind when we first start working together. So on the questionnaire that they fill out, if they're going to get a brand and website designed, there's a question at the end that asks them if they know of anybody who needs a designer. that they could like let me know the URL or something like that, so that I can just drop them a friendly message and say that their friend has said they're looking for someone. If they are ever in need of a designer, then I would love to help them out. It's just little tiny things like this, planting the seed along the way with your client, reminding them that you would like them to refer people your way. I feel like people do love to give and they do love to help people out. So if you actually tell people that you would like their help, it goes a long way.
I think it does. And I think also referrals convert better to clients more than anything else. Because when I was actually looking at my numbers and thinking about it, really the referrals, I mean, having my website and portfolio up was good. I'm sure sometimes they checked it out, but my website really only generated a small percentage of my clients, like who actually, sent me a contact. And most of my traffic was from Pinterest, but 9% of my contacts, like people who just sent me an email, said they were from Pinterest, even though that's where all my website traffic comes from. And I don't even know if any of those really were clients, to be honest. I can't think of a Pinterest client I booked. I'm sure there was like some in there, but almost all of them were referral. And they're more likely to book because they already had someone that they know and that they trust recommend you. And they kind of already know that they want to work with you just because someone else, recommended you. It just makes a difference. That trust is there. And so
the trust factor's already there.
Yeah, it's just way easier to convert them to clients than it is a random stranger who like came across your work somewhere else. If they've had a referral from someone they personally know, I think. So
it is such a powerful marketing tool if people actually put in the effort to keep those referrals coming and don't just rely on them to just flow in by themselves and just hope for the best. But let's talk about converting, because it's all well that somebody comes and lands on your website. So say somebody has referred a client to you and they say, this is the URL, go and check this URL out. She's a really great designer. They come to the website. Do you have any tips on how people can make sure that their website converts those actual referrals and those visitors from wherever they've come from into actual paying clients?
Yeah, I think that definitely having your like mission statement or something that's very clear about what you do at the very top is really important.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Sometimes they come to websites and you're like, what do they do? Like, I also think if you're a solopreneur, like having your face on there initially is awesome. They know who they're working with. Like a lot of generic stock photos or things like that might not be the best. Getting a professional photo shoot of you, even if you are an introvert and it's hard and you're like, this is weird, it's still important to get, some headshots and some personal, photography done of you for your website. I think,
the amount of people that I see, I go on their website and there's no photo of them, not even on the about page or anything. I just personally would never hire someone whose face I haven't seen on their website.
Yeah, or like little to no effort was put into the about page. A lot of times that's like a last effort, like, it's really generic or something. But I think trying to make it more personal, because a lot of times they are hiring you. That's the reality. And that's what is kind of the difference between us designers is really more personality. So I feel like having as much personality on your website as possible is awesome, because they're like, oh, I feel like I am getting to know them already through their website. And whatever you can do to like build up that trust is great. I actually feel like maybe it's something I need to do better on my website, just because our website didn't convert as much as I thought. So I want to do like a website redesign soon. But and this time I want to think more about the strategy side of it, maybe hire a copywriter, putting more effort into it, because I'm realizing, maybe we're doing pretty good on like the client experience, but our website could do better about converting more of that Pinterest traffic into clients. So
yeah, those are all such fantastic points. I found with my design services and with the things that I'm selling now, products, I found that a couple of really great things that helped me convert people into clients and now into customers and students is number one, consultation calls, because I just once I started doing those, I can remember just feeling the difference. So many more people who actually inquired about my services turned into paying clients than they did before I did those. I think it's just because clients just really, really want to see who they are working with, and you have to have that face-to-face contact for them to trust you with all of their money. And I think if you aren't doing that at the moment, everyone who's listening, then that is something to absolutely give some attention to. And the other thing that works really well for me is email funnels. So building an email list. I find that product-based businesses do it a lot, but a lot of freelancers don't start a mailing list. When what I did with design services was I set up a free course that covered everything that I needed the client to do before working with me. So it would be things like establishing their brand voice and different things like this. And almost all of my clients, when I checked, when they'd actually booked me, when I checked in my mailing list system, almost all of them had been through that course first before hiring me. So I think that those two things are also really great things that you can do to help convert more clients.
Yeah. So if you have a slow period, create a new free course that is a funnel to turn them into a client. I think that's awesome because like all that Pinterest traffic maybe that I'm having, maybe they're not gonna like inquire right away, but they'll get on my email list and start to trust me, through sending newsletters and emails and turn to a client eventually. So yeah, I think that's such a good point. That's something I need to do.
Yeah, it is such a great way to convert all of that cold traffic into warm traffic, and people that are just way more likely to hire you once they've gotten to know you and trust you more.
Right. The freebie that we have right now is more prepping for like an upcoming course launch, hopefully. But
I'm so excited about that.
You a client, you know what I mean? It's funny, you always think about the sales funnels, or I always talk about like courses and things like that, but for client work, it totally applies.
It does. It applies so much to client work, and I don't think people realize just how well they could convert clients if they put some effort into email marketing. But let's move on to talking about our last couple of points, because then we'll tackle the Q&A. Let's talk about curating a portfolio that wins clients. Do you have any advice around that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say sometimes, especially when you're getting started, your portfolio, you've just kind of been taking whatever work comes your way, and they might not be your ideal clients. So especially when it's slow, you can just do some creative projects where you just make up the name of the brand and design it how you want, and design it so it attracts your ideal client. I just think doing creative projects is totally fine, and putting that in your portfolio, especially if you don't like all your past work and you're looking for a new type of client. That's a great way to attract different clients. I also think showing your best work is really important, not throwing everything you have up there. It's overwhelming. Try to keep it maybe to like 9 to 12 of your best projects. Because when I was looking on my website statistics, most people were only on there a minute and a half. So I know they weren't looking at all of my projects, like really they're only going to see you and then contact you, because they're not going to take all day looking through everything. So you really need to show your best work and just know that you really only have a minute or two to make your best impression. So that's what I think. What do you think, Nisha?
Oh, yeah. No, I 100% agree. You haven't really got that much time to make a killer impression on potential clients that land on your website. So you're 100% right. And I think that from the designers that I talk to, for some reason, people seem to think that, well, they're not quite sure if they can make up their own projects and put them in their portfolio. But I think it's totally fine to do. And it's the easiest way to curate a portfolio of the kind of work that you actually want to do, and not just the kind of work that you had to do to pay your bills. So yeah, those are great points.
Yeah, or you can start some kind of creative project where maybe you produce something new like each week, like a new website each week. Or I've just seen designers do these, like those kinds of things, or they created an Instagram account with a different illustration of the day of the week, or you know what I mean? There's just fun initiatives that you can do for yourself to kind of push your creative boundaries and, attract new followers, find new clients, all of that. So.
Yeah, exactly. Curating a portfolio doesn't have to be like so hard as what I think a lot of designers think. You don't have to wait for the perfect clients to come along for you to finally have that great project that you want to put in your portfolio.
Create your own portfolio.
Exactly, create it yourself.
Yeah, and then pinning those to Pinterest because honestly, like branding boards, logos, they do so well on Pinterest. People eat it up. Website mock-ups. So it definitely blogging, I think, is really important if you're having a slow season. Just actively, you're creating new content and it's circulating online, and a lot of eyes are seeing it. I think that's important. But people eat up branding stuff; they love it. Like if you go
my goodness, yeah.
And how many times things are pinned? It's like branding boards, logos, all of that. Like they love design.
Yeah.
So
yeah, brand boards go viral on Pinterest. People absolutely love them, especially people who are looking for a designer, because I find that they will go to Pinterest for inspiration or for things to get them hyped about their own project. And that could be where they see your project. So let's talk about blogging dead quickly before we move on to the Q&A. Do you have any tips around blogging for everybody who's listening today, blogging to actually drive potential clients your way?
Yeah, I think, I could do better on my blogging schedule for sure. But I think if you're trying to attract clients, make sure that you're blogging for that purpose. Because I think a lot of times we're like, oh, I should blog. And then maybe, you're blogging about designer topics. Well, you're going to attract designers that way, right? So you need to make sure that you're blogging with topics keeping in mind of future clients. So people looking for design work, and try not to lose your focus, because it can be easy to blog for your peers instead of blogging for clients. And so you just want to keep in mind what your goals are when you are creating blogging topics.
Amen. Amen. Because I see this a lot with designers who will blog about things like their daily routine or tools that they're using to automate their social media. Yeah. When in reality there's...
If you're looking for a design, a client, you need to change your topics up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in reality, while business owners like us and other designers love those topics, your ideal clients aren't looking for that kind of content. They're looking for things that are just around blog posts that are based on design topics.
I think being consistent too is awesome. Finding a day of the week that you consistently are publishing, just to make sure schedule. Because that's what I struggle with, is that's kind of one of those extra things I don't get around to as often, but I know I need to prioritize it and make it important as a part of my strategy,
Yeah, consistency is definitely key, because then you start to build up that email list and that community of people that know, like, and trust you, and that trust builds more and more the more that they can rely on your content coming each and every week at the same day every week.
Yeah, and then also I was just going to say also creating some kind of free download to offer within that blog post, every blog post, just so that you are actively building up your email list too, as another way because to keep in contact with them, just because social media is changing all the time. I know we're all frustrated with Instagram, but building up your email list is another possible way to convert to clients. So yeah, just make sure you're adding free downloads within every blog post.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that most of my subscribers come from content upgrades. So that's like Morgan said, that's opt-ins inside of your blog posts. So they are just so valuable in building your email list, and it's just so easy as well to add an opt-in to a blog post, and then that way you're doing two marketing strategies essentially around the same time. You're publishing that blog post, getting that freebie out there, and building your email list as well. So those were fantastic points, and we've got a few questions around the topics that we have been talking about. Guys, if any more of you have questions, feel free to post them in the chat box, and don't forget to flag them as a question, because it will just help us find them more easily. So Sierra has asked, how exactly should we do a consultation call? Should we give away any free advice? What do you think?
So, this is something I've also kind of wondered too, because a lot of times when I'm doing a consultation call, I am trying to build trust and, have them want to hire me and seem valuable. And you debate if you're giving away like too much about a strategy, because sometimes I feel like, oh, I kind of laid out like this whole strategy for them, but then they didn't hire me. I kind of think I've just heard this a lot, like especially with how much free content do I create online and give away. I think it's different for each person, but I honestly don't really hold back a ton because I don't want to make them feel like, I don't know, that they can't trust me, or, you know what I mean? I want them to hire me and see that I know what I'm doing. So I keep it pretty conversational, but I do give some free advice for sure, because I think it's all about creating those relationships. A lot of times when clients haven't hired me, they've referred me to other people, or down the road, they came back. So I think those are things to keep in mind. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, I think those are really great things to keep in mind. I think that it is okay to give away a bit of free advice. And another thing that I think is a good idea with consultation calls is to make sure that you put a time limit on them, because if your worry is that Sierra, if your worry is that you're going to give away too much advice, then just limit your calls to maybe like 20 minutes, half an hour, and that will kind of give you time to get to know them. They ask you questions, you ask them questions, but then also it gives you a time frame to say to them, well, this is the end of the consultation call. It's been lovely talking to you, and this is what's going to happen next. And you explain to them that you'll email them with more details. That will then stop you from being bombarded with so many questions that you feel like they want you to give away absolutely everything that you can for free. I think that was a really great question. Jessie has asked, what are examples of emails that you can send to your email list? I mean, do you have any specific kind of ideas that you would like to share with her, or do you want me to go ahead first?
You go ahead. That's more your expertise.
So when it comes to emails to send to your email list, one thing that you should do, like I mentioned earlier, is create a free course. So you can do it really easily in something like MailChimp or ConvertKit, and you just create like a 5-day or 7-day course. And you can I always say to cover the topics that your clients are concerned about before they hire you. So this could be things like, in my brand discovery course, it was things like finding your brand voice, finding your brand style. So it would get them to complete a Pinterest assignment, which is what I give my clients to complete. And all sorts of things like that. I think that it's good to provide them with a freebie like a course before they really know you that well, because it makes them, not only prepares them for working with you, but also builds their trust in you. Like we've been repeating a lot throughout this webinar, before people hire you, they have to trust you and they have to understand that you're an expert. And the great way to build that expertise in their minds really quickly is through a course. But with just weekly emails that you could just send things like, you suddenly can't think of anything off the top of your head. I've got like a whole freebie of 100 topics that they can send, but you could send things like how to find the perfect designer for you, or how to understand whether you should go with Squarespace or WordPress.
Questions to ask graphic designers when you're hiring, or, try to put yourself like in a client's mind and things that, they're wondering or needing before they hire a designer.
Oh yeah, exactly. Just try and get, like Morgan said, try and get into their minds and answer the questions that they have in their minds before they actually reach out to you.
Who are, maybe they have businesses, but they're not like designers. Like maybe they have product-based businesses or something. You just ask them, if they did work with a designer, like what did they struggle with beforehand, or even afterwards, or what made them hire that designer. I think you can pick people's brains too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. And I've got a blog post for anybody who's interested on of 100 blog post ideas for designers that I literally just brain dumped into one blog post. And it will cover, I had to open it up dead quick. I was like, I've got a bunch of these ideas and none of them are coming to my mind. So you could write things to do with your design process, like show people your step-by-step design process, take people behind the scenes. So you could show a case study of one of your client projects, the before and after shots, the process, things like that. And you could write posts like 5 signs of a high quality designer, or a post like, should you hire a separate designer and developer? Just like Morgan said, answer people's questions that you know they're thinking of before they actually inquire about your services. So Susie has asked, what would you put in an email or newsletter blast that would be of interest to people who aren't designers? I think that's pretty much the same question. Just answer those questions that your clients usually ask you. Zenita has asked, who do you use for your funnel? I personally use ConvertKit. You use ConvertKit as well, don't you, Morgan? Yeah, we both use ConvertKit because it's really, really easy to set up an email funnel inside of ConvertKit. I think they call it a sequence. So in other words, a sequence is a funnel or a course. So that's the easiest tool that I can recommend for creating a free course, but you can also do it in MailChimp as well, which I think might be a bit cheaper for people who are first starting out with a mailing list. But they both end up around the same price when you reach a certain amount of subscribers.
Yeah, and you can separate your audience a little bit easier and their interests and like target them.
Oh yeah, you can do so many great things in ConvertKit when it comes to segmenting your audience. It's really smart like that. So Deanna said, email funnel is my question too. Once I have them opted in, then what? I don't have an automation set up. What do you think, Morgan?
I mean, I think definitely having some kind of welcome email, and, you could follow up on that opt-in, down the road, see how it's going, see if they have any questions about it. Maybe that's an automatic email like a week or 2 later. But yeah, and then if you have like a free course, they're going to be receiving, 5 to 7 emails after they opt in, right? So get some kind of automation, I think, is ideal.
Yeah. I think that if you don't have anything in place at the moment, and maybe you don't have time to set up a free course, the easiest thing that you can do right now is to repurpose your blog posts. So if you already have a blog, then what I would do is go into your blog, copy those blog posts over into emails, or just copy the first few paragraphs and then link to the blog post and schedule them out for the next 10 or so weeks. Or you could even set up a funnel, which, like I said, in ConvertKit is called a sequence. And you could add as many blog posts to that sequence as you liked, because there's no limit in ConvertKit anyway. So I have something like that where all of my blog posts are in one big sequence. So there's about 100 of them, and they go out once a week. And what happens is when somebody opts into my list for a freebie, they immediately get added to this sequence of blog posts, so that every single week, whether I decide to send out an email or not, they always have content coming to them. So that would be another great thing that you could do. Let's see what the other questions were. Courtney has said, do you have 5 blog post topics to attract ideal clients? Yeah, the link to my 100 blog post ideas is in the chat box, Courtney. And there's also a download, so that you don't have to keep on going back to the blog post. You can just download a PDF of them. Nissa has said, can you share your thoughts about putting your pricing on your website? I noticed October Ink doesn't have them, or at least I can't see them.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's different. Some designers do put their prices on their website. I do not. And I think everyone's reasoning is different. I prefer to kind of go more with the quality over quantity approach, because I want to screen each client a little bit. And each project is so different too, with branding and web design. And I'm also moving a little bit more towards value-based pricing. If you're not familiar with that, Sean West is a great resource for that in his podcast. But basically, it's just tailoring each project to the client's needs. Because some people say, when people are trying to hire designers, they like if you're going to a restaurant, you want to see the prices. You wouldn't eat there if you couldn't see the prices. But I feel like design is not really a commodity. It's individual, and each designer is individual. And so I don't think it's like going to a restaurant, because not every designer is the same. Not everything they offer is the same. I still kind of see it more as art. I don't know if I'm like a hippie or what, but I just feel like each project is so different. Each client is so different. I like to fill things out more and screen the client more. And so I don't have my prices on there because they vary so much, and I also don't want, like, maybe there's a client who saw my prices and like, okay, saw your prices. That's good. I want to hire you. I want to screen them more. So that's just my perspective on it, but I know everyone's different.
Yeah, everybody is different. I mean, I personally like the whole approach to putting your pricing on your website, but I also totally understand that different businesses do it differently, and sometimes putting your pricing on your website is not the best thing for your business. But I discussed that in the last month's webinar with Danielle, which will be available publicly within the next few months, you guys, so you can watch that when it comes out as well, because we talk about both perspectives there too. But that was a really great take on not putting your pricing on your website. I feel like people need to understand both sides of this so they can make the best decision for their business. Definitely
see what works best for you too. Like, you're never married to either one. There were times where we did have prices on our website, and I just choose not to. But I just feel like when clients are so focused on price, the very first thing, then I know they're not my ideal client. If that's literally what they're doing, is just price shopping. And so sometimes I'll get inquiries and what's your price? What's your price? What's your price? And I'm like, okay, it's about more than that, And so I don't know. I guess there's trade-offs, right? Because I don't want them just to assume that I'm too expensive. But a lot of times if they are focused on price and that's the first thing they want, then it's probably not going to work out. So, but that's just my style of client. But everyone's different. When we started out, we did have our prices on there. And it's more straightforward too. It's nice. It takes out some of that inquiry process that is time consuming if you do have your prices on your website. So I just think it's personal, and you see what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jennifer has asked, I feel like with my social media efforts, my posts just go out into the air, that no one is seeing them. Does it just take time to get an audience? What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it does take time. And social media, do you mean like Instagram or Twitter or Pinterest? Because I think each one is a little bit of a different animal. But yeah, I do feel like that. I think one thing too is to look at your statistics, maybe even in Instagram. Like, you can, if you're a business account, you can see what posts people are engaging with. And I know for ours, I've tried to mix in some lifestyle stuff here and there. It's not what gets the most engagement. People love and they save, because you can see how many times people saved different posts. They save our design stuff a ton. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I need to post more logos, more branding boards, more mood boards. People eat those up the most. Like, I'll get like double, triple the likes on my design stuff. And so it shows me my audience wants design. So, because I was debating about mixing in more lifestyle and beauty and all this stuff. And the last few months I've been like, nope, they want design. It's pretty obvious. So I think knowing what your audience wants and likes is important. And but I totally know that feeling where you're like, is anyone seeing my content or liking it? But just kind of focus on what does get the most liked and continuing to output that content. then it will grow more, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Focus on what you get the biggest return on investment from. So if something isn't working for you, if there's like a specific social media platform that just does not seem to do much for your brand at all, then don't be afraid to just drop it if it's not working for you, so you can focus and give your full attention to the things and the strategies that actually are working for you. Sophia has asked, do you have two different mailing lists, one for potential clients and one for other designers, or do you give the same blog posts and advice to everyone? I'm not sure whether she's asking me or you, but we can both answer it. I have a lot of different mailing lists, because inside of ConvertKit you can segment really easily. So you could tag different people based on their interests. So you could tag people who opted in for something related to design as people who are interested in design. So that would be potential design clients. And if people have opted in for things that you specifically made for other designers, then you could just tag them as other designers. What do you do, Morgan? Do you have different mailing lists?
Right now I don't, because I haven't really set up a funnel for converting to clients. I've just mostly been focusing on attracting designers. So, but if, in the future, I think it's a great idea, like something to implement. So I would set up a couple of different ones.
Yeah, I love that point that you've just made, though, because I think if you're only selling, like you said, because you're launching a course for designers, which is going to teach designers how to design e-commerce sites. So your main focus is to build a community of other designers. So the people who are here, if your main focus is to find design clients, then don't bother with trying to build an email list of designers and design clients. Do what Morgan has done and focus on the one that you're trying to generate the most attention from at this moment in time. So just focus on building a mailing list of design clients by writing blog posts based around topics that those clients are interested in, and creating freebies that people would only opt in for if they were not a designer, if they needed a designer or needed design advice. So forget the other designers for the time being and just focus on your potential clients. So we could maybe take one more question. So we could take Sierra's question. Sierra has...
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to bring...
Oh, sorry, go on.
So a lot of times as well, like during a slow season, because what you're looking for when you want clients is income, right? There's other income opportunities you can create. And so we've been talking about courses and different things like that, maybe digital products. Those are things you can work on during slow seasons, which is awesome to try to create some kind of side income, while you're slow. Anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I did a Q&A in my Facebook group last week, and it ended up just being about launching a digital product to sort of add a passive income stream to your freelancing, because in slow seasons, that's a really great thing to do. So lastly, we can cover Sierra's question, but before we do, I just want to tell you guys, because we do keep these webinars to about an hour long, so it won't be on for very much longer, but you can grab all of Morgan's ideas that she shared today so far, plus more, inside her freebie, 21 ways to land more clients. So I will just add the link to that there in the chat box, so it should have appeared for you all. You can just go on ahead and download the freebie, and it will summarize some of the things that we've spoken about today.
Yeah, I was talking with Misha about it too. Those are like pretty actionable, specific things. Because a lot of times I feel like advice online is very kind of generic, like, create more relationships online. It's like, well, what does that look like? And so in that PDF, one of them is, go on Instagram and comment, like take 10 minutes and comment on 10 accounts, or like more specific things you can do to try to attract clients. So I hope you guys like that.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys will really love it. I know that Morgan has put a lot of effort into it, and it's really actionable, like she said. So it's not just going to be a quick PDF of some quick ideas. This is actual stuff that you can implement to make a big difference to your marketing. So Sierra has asked, so for this value-based pricing, do you create new pricing for each client? Do you have anything that you do each time, or is it new every time?
So Sean West's podcast is so awesome talking about all this because it really is such a big topic and it's a lot to cover. But basically, I do have base prices, like the lowest amount I would do a project for. I've kind of figured out my own internal rate that makes projects worthwhile for me. And I have a lot of factors going into that, how much it costs for me to live. I also pay for some childcare, things like that. And most of my clients are small businesses, usually between 1 to 3 people. So most of their pricing is similar. Every now and then, I've had a different type of client contact me. Maybe they're a bigger client. Like if Target contacted me, some kind of huge client, I would charge them something different, most likely. And in Sean West's podcast, he talks more about value-based pricing. Also, I take into account personality. If I know a client is going to be a lot harder to work with and it's going to be a more time-consuming project, I'll change the price, I'll be honest, because I know it's going to take me more time and it's going to be frustrating, And so sometimes I won't, book those projects at all. But if I'm in a slow season, I'll take on clients I know might not be the best personality fit, but I might throw out a higher quote. And then if they don't say yes, no big deal. If they do, then I know I just charged extra, just knowing that it would be a difficult project.
Yeah, those are all such really great points for everybody to keep in mind when it comes to value-based pricing. And like you said, it's good to have an hourly rate in mind, like to not just pluck a price from thin air for everyone. Like you need to actually know how much money you need.
Are they around the same? Like I'll be honest, because most of our clients are the same, and I don't want to outprice small businesses. I like working with, really small businesses, usually just like one person. Most of the time they're women starting a new e-commerce company, like a clothing company or photography or something like that. So I think it depends on, the type of client you have and, the overall, because at some point you're going to outprice small businesses if you're going above $10,000. You know what I mean? Like no single solo entrepreneur has that kind of money usually. And so you kind of need to keep in mind, who do you want to attract? You know what I mean? But every now and then I've had some bigger clients come along and I have sent quotes out bigger than that. So, so it's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I really, really love that you've shared your perspective on that, because I know a lot of people hear me talk about putting pricing on websites and things like that, but they would love to hear the other side of things as well. So thank you, because I know that a lot of people must have found that so helpful. And yeah, that has led us nicely to the end of this webinar today, you guys. I hope that you've all really enjoyed it and you've gotten as much value from it and from Morgan as you possibly can. And thank you so much, Morgan, as well, for taking an hour out of your day today to come and talk with my community all about finding clients.
This was so fun. Thank you.
It was super fun. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about you? I know that they can go and download the free PDF, but what's the link to your website as well?
Yeah, so octoberinc.com, INK. Well, it's a little tricky. I'll type it in here. But that's linked to our website. Come find me on Instagram, message me, DM me, let me know that you guys were in the webinar today. So yeah, I'd love to chat with you guys more. If you ever have more questions, feel free to send them over. And I'm an open book pretty much. So
bring it on.
I love talking about design stuff,
Yeah. And I love talking about business stuff. So if you guys didn't know me before and you would like to know more now, you can find me at nishawillery.com, which is really hard to spell, so I'll type it in. And if you can hear my stomach rumbling, by the way, I'm really sorry. There we go. So you can find Morgan at octoberinc.com. You can find me at nishawillery.com. And yeah, I will see you guys next month for another webinar. Bye, guys.
Guys, have a good day.